Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang. Welcome back to Solo Roll Mangging. Session 13 of our time with Heroes of Adventure. So last time, we started up a new character after Garland's passing. And so, we kind of just set about doing things pretty randomly. And that gave us Malkalon, the mage, who seeks to kind of go out into the world and do some experimentation, discovery, and write an encyclopedia of, magical phenomena and creatures and species, all that sort of stuff. Hey, Lennon. Of course, as this continues to happen, I didn't save Malkalon's character sheet, so we have to remake it. But this gives a good opportunity to go over my new Heroes of Adventure race list that I have now come up with. Or at least it's a partial list. New races will get added kind of as I want to play them or as other people want to play them. So right now it's really just basic D&D sort of stuff. So we're going to be a human just because it's boring, but it's better now. It's better than it is by the rulebook. So their base health is 6. And then I believe mage gets 4. So before we had 9 health, now we have 10. Okay, so that's already a bump up. It was a bump up just because I felt like I needed to have halflings have lower health than humans. And if humans had 5 health base, halflings would have 4. And then a halfling mage would start with 8 health, which is really pretty light and just doesn't seem too fair. So now they have 9. A halfling mage has 9. A human mage has 10. Then base defense is still 8. That's going to be kind of the standard. I don't fuck with that too much. Some get 9. That's about it. I mean, maybe eventually, I guess I'd have a race that would have 7 defense. But defense is kind of an abstraction. So I actually give halflings 9 defense because they're kind of harder to hit. So I would have to have like kind of a big squishy target. And I don't know what sort of race that would be. So defense doesn't get changed too much because there's not a lot of wiggle room. Then, just like normal, they get any one attribute and any one skill. So that hasn't changed. And then they actually do get an ability, unlike normal. So they get the adaptable ability, which I took from half-elves. So they get to take any one class ability from any class they want. Which I think, like I said, that kind of alone makes humans viable compared to all the others. Like that is a very nice thing to start with. Now I have to remake his character sheet because I failed to save it. So I'm just going over my new race list. So yeah, adaptable is pretty big. I took adaptable away from half-elves then, because then it would just be kind of too overpowered. I wanted adaptable to be unique to humans, because that's kind of what they usually are. They are very adaptable. So half-elves instead got alertness for advantage on sense checks, which by itself is really I mean, based on, like, playing with my family, there's a lot of census checks. I know we don't do it a lot on solo. But yeah. Yeah, it comes up a lot. Elves also get alertness, and they get meditative trance, which I just made it so that their healing rolls at night for rests, they roll with advantage. Dwarves, they get dark vision of 60 feet and iron skin for damage resistance 1. But their skills aren't too useful. They start with crafting and alchemy. And then halflings, I gave them lucky so they can reroll any die as an encounter ability. Any die! I'm sure I'll have to adjust that at some point. But yeah, essentially any die they want. Whether they roll it, DM rolls it, someone else rolls it, whatever. Just re-roll it. Now, normally you'd have to specify if they have to take the second result or they can choose. I didn't write it in there. Usually you have to take the second result, but whatever. Okay, so... yeah, I try to remember now all the things that I got and things that I took. I don't even remember. I could go back to the other video, I guess. But... annoying. I don't know. I remember, I think, command I had, probably senses I had. I think we rolled randomly, though. I guess will is fine. None of this is going to be correct. Magic, though. That would be a D6, because I would have bumped that up twice. So then we get one other skill. Maybe it was lore. That sounds like it could have been lore. So we'll go with that. And then for ability, I know I took the surge, the advantage on spells from witches or something. No? Sorcery Surge from Warlock, yeah. Sorcery Surge. Okay. And then we get Arcane Magic, and we took Time Magic, I believe. Did we take Time Magic, or did I think it was kind of lame? Or maybe I took Form Magic. I think I took Form. Okay, and then we get 2 spells from each of those. So Arcane, I took Charm, I think. And Missile? I definitely took Time Magic, you think? No, I took 4. I took Shape Change. And Ethereal Form. 100% I did. Ethereal Form was very relevant throughout the plot. Yeah, I decided I was going for Time, and then I looked at the spells and I thought it was kind of lame. And then, of course, I wrote all that into equipment for no reason, so it's great. As for equipment, I know that I bought a pen, or a quill, and a parchment. I know I bought that. I think oh, well, hold on. I really should learn to save stuff. I have robes. I have a dagger. And then I had 200 silver. Minus things that I bought. It was expensive. Like, it added up quick, I think. So the page was 10, the quill and ink was 20, so that's 30. I bought, I think, crease maybe? Well, I definitely bought like a lantern or something. We'll write down lantern. Oh, I think I bought a shield. Yeah, because I only need one hand free. So I bought a shield for sure. So that means my defense is 10. Shield is 100. Lantern's 20. 120 plus 30. So I'm already up to 150. I think that's probably where I stopped. So my defense is 10. Which is pretty miserable. We have 50 silver. Should I buy rope? Rope is always good, but I can shape change. No, you don't leave home without rope. It's just a way of things. Boondocks. All right, let me save this then. All right, it is saved. We are good. Okay, so what happened in the last session then? We set out, wanting to make this encyclopedia. We started in the town of Awbridge, where we have a house. But we decided we needed a little spending money to kind of get this operation on the road. So we found a quest. Someone wanting a live goblin to be procured for reasons not stated. So Malkalon decided that that's a good easy job, good practice. It's all good. So he went out to the nearby village of Tronam to try and ask around locals out in the wilderness where the goblins might be coming from. And he ended up being very, very publicly humiliated in the pub and in the town square, and just the entire town finding this to be the funniest thing they've ever heard. So he just very frustratedly walked out of town into the wilderness, where he was promptly ambushed by kobolds. He nearly died. It was very, very close. One more damage from any of the 5 kobolds that hit him or whatever would have ended things. But he managed to flee, and in the process, some wild magic occurred. And he created a shadow doppelganger of himself with all of his abilities. And so, we decided that this doppelganger kind of just has the dark aspects of his mind, and that's it. So it took all of his frustration and rage at the people of Tronam, and it went off and destroyed the entire place, burned it down, killed most of the people there, and then fled into the night. Malkalon went back to Awbridge, rested up, and, he heard the news, but he was completely unaware of the Shadow Doppelganger's existence. So he's clueless. He spoke with some of the survivors in town. A woman kind of recognized him as having a likeness similar to the doppelganger, but she kept it to herself. She didn't announce it, but she told left an anonymous note to the town guard to keep an eye on Malkalon. But she did tell him that there's a quarry, an abandoned quarry, where the goblins have supposedly set up camp. You're guessing the shadow is more like his id, since he's not the best guy to begin with. Instead of evil, it's more like it acts on all his desires. Yeah. I mean, Malkalon is certainly fairly cavalier with, like, getting what he wants and just doing things without real thought about consequences. But, yeah, I mean, he's certainly still restrained, he's still civilized. So, yeah, I guess the doppelganger is just him without any of that civility. Which is... it's basically like if I was playing a villainous character. It's like if I was playing Malkalon and just didn't give a shit about anything and was just playing chaotic evil, which is quite dangerous. Like, if I went all out and wanted to just, like, bring down an empire, I could find ways to do it. So it's a pretty dangerous thing out there. But it's still technically level 1. It's still pretty underpowered. I don't think I could bring down an empire at level 1. Certainly not easy. Not easily. Alright, so that's where we pick up then. Malkalon is rested. He's back in tip-top shape. And he's going to head out to this quarry to see if he can nab a goblin. Some goblin child or something. It doesn't matter. Or an infirmed goblin, an elder goblin. Any goblin he can get his hands on. That's why we have the rope. So he does not been to this quarry. He does not really know of its existence. She just kind of gave him somewhat vague directions. Probably directions based on Tronam, like relative to Tronam. So he's gonna have to do some hiking. I don't expect him to get ambushed while trying to find the quarry. But we'll do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to say it takes like a few hours to kind of get into the general region. Just like the general region of being like northwest of Trona, which is pretty vague. And I'll roll 1d20 just for that sort of trip. If I roll a 1, he gets an encounter. Okay, he's fine. Okay. So now we're in the region, and it shouldn't take too long to find the quarry. I mean, these things are fairly big. So I'm going to roll for every, like, hour. So we'll say it's, like, 11 a.m. And we'll do the escalating d20 rolls, but we'll go by 2 to find the quarry, and 1 for a random encounter. So, if I roll a 1, I get an encounter. If I roll a 19 or 20, I find the quarry. Okay, so nothing. And then those numbers will keep going up and down. So this is now 12 to 1. Nothing. 1 to 2. Nothing. 2 to 3. Okay, I think we found the quarry. Alright, so, yes, we come across this abandoned quarry. And the reason for it being abandoned, I guess that's a question we could ask. Was it abandoned because they kind of got everything they wanted out of it? Like, they kind of emptied it out and time move on? Or did something bad happen? Let's... Yeah, I mean, I think this is just kind of a deterministic sort of series of questions. Okay, well, okay. Did they move on because something bad happened at the quarry? 4. No. Okay, so they moved on because it was just kind of ran its course. So this was a while ago, and then the goblins moved in. You know, we could have had some sort of secret underground Chthonian entity, but we'll leave it at just a normal quarry for now. Okay. See, again, like this how many roll. I was like, oh, maybe I should roll to see how many goblins are in this, like, quarry, in this camp. But it's like, when would this ever... when would you ever want to decide? Some sort of roll where you're happy with there being none, or you're happy with it being 50k. It's just a ridiculous roll. It's not useful at all. I'd rather just, like, roll 4d20. I guess that's what I'll do. I'll roll 4d20. And that's how many goblins will be in here. 42. Okay, what a perfect number. Okay, so it's not a huge goblin camp then. This is a small band. 42 goblins. You'd probably say about half that is, like, kind of fighting fit men and women. So about 20 or so goblin that are fit for combat. Yeah, maybe that number is a little low because goblins probably don't tend to look after their elders too much. They're infirmed too much. So maybe it's more like 30. 30 fighting capable goblins, and then probably like 8 or 9 youngins, too young to pick up a weapon, and then a few elders that are still clinging to life. Probably not completely vulnerable. Like, they're probably elders because they have some, you know, strength to them yet. But anyway. So what I'm picturing, a quarry. I'm sure you've seen a quarry. I don't know how deep quarries go on average. But yeah, I mean, probably like, what do you think, 100 feet down or something? Something like that? How deep is a typical quarry? Well, that's the water depth. And yeah, I guess it would have... So there would be water at the bottom. The deepest quarry is 1.2 kilometers deep. God damn. Interesting. I need a goblin witch doctor too. Well, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, that would be probably one of the elderly ones. The only one of the camp really capable of casting any sort of goblin magic. Which would be chaos. Chaos or dark magic, I guess, one of the two. If it comes to that, I don't want to encounter the Chaos Witch Doctor. We don't really want to encounter anybody but like a child playing in the woods nearby. That's the target we're hoping for. Yeah. Probably dark magic, I think, makes the most sense. And this witch doctor would have like 2 to 4 of these spells available. So yeah, there's water at the bottom of the quarry that goes down, at least 50 feet or something. And then there's just the tiers of the quarry, and on most of the various tiers, there's a bunch of goblin huts and tents, crude constructions. The smell is pretty bad because the water at the bottom, obviously they just like shit in it and piss in it. They just chuck all their shit into the water, so it's quite putrid. And then they probably drink the same water because they're fucking goblins, so I don't know. But they probably also drink rainwater. Things like that. So the smell is certainly noticeable. I imagine they would only really leave the quarry to go on like raids. It's not like they come out of the quarry to go farm or forage for berries. I mean, they probably hunt animals on occasion, but that would really be their only reason to leave, is for food or raiding or something like that. So probably, maybe, what do we think? Like 10 are away at any given time. Raiding or hunting or something, trying to find food or, attacking travelers on the road, things like that. So there's probably about 30 to 32 at the moment Malkalon finds the quarry. So I'll kind of crawl up to the edge and peek over and see this scene. And now we have to figure out what is the best way to get a goblin. There is certainly, a logistical challenge here that I've created. Based on everything that I've just said. They only come out in groups of like 10 to go hunting or raiding or something. There's like 30 some then left behind. They're in... I mean, it's not a fortified location. Obviously, I mean, like, if an attacking group wanted to wipe out the goblins, it would be fairly easy. It's the opposite of, like, a good defensible position. They're just, like, in a hole. But it's a very visible hole. Like, chances are that if Malkalon tries to go down into the quarry from any angle, at least one goblin will see him. Nighttime, we may have a bit of an advantage. But obviously, our real advantages are our spells. We have Ethereal Form and Shape Change. So, Ethereal Form, we can pass through solid objects and cannot be interacted with. So, theoretically, nighttime, it would be fairly easy for us to kind of travel through the rock, through the quarry, pop our head up every once in a while to scope out where we are, and then pop up inside of a goblin tent. Best answer you can get is they eat rats and bugs, but they'll eat human food they steal. Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, they're primarily carnivorous. I don't think they eat a lot of fruit and veggies. So pretty much any form of meat. Bugs, yeah, sure, rats. But if they find, like, a boar, you know, they'll eat a boar. And, you know, I'm sure they'll eat people. They'd probably eat bread, I guess. I don't know if they'd prefer it or anything, but yeah. Yeah, I kind of think of Gollum. Like, he didn't really like taters. He wanted to just rip into a rabbit. That sort of thing. Okay, so... But ethereal form. Say I get into a goblin tent. Undiscovered. And I just slide up out of the ground, and there I am in the goblin tent. And let's say, even though I think it's unlikely, that there's one goblin in this tent. Best case scenario is that it is like a child. But why would a child be by himself? Like, that's just not going to really happen, I don't think. So probably the best case scenario then, really, if we want one solitary goblin in their tent at night, is like an elderly one. So a full-grown elderly goblin. How do I then extract said goblin from the camp, also undiscovered? I can't ethereal form another creature. Like, I can't, No, I mean, I guess I can cast it on him, and then I can cast it on myself, but I can't drag him then. I cannot interact with any ethereal thing. Even if I'm ethereal. Just cannot be interacted with. So, that's not an option. Shape change is probably a better option. I could shape change him into one size smaller, and I believe goblins are going to be small. Do we think that's true? Let me try and find the size chart again. Okay, medium is a human, small is a dog. Do we think goblins are the size of a dog? I guess if you have a bigger dog and you kind of put it on its hind legs, it's probably accurate. D&D goblins are Tolkien or not. Yeah, I know. Well, we definitely more in the vein of D&D here. So yeah, I mean, I guess we're going small. Although it probably should... I don't know why we're debating this. Goblins are in the bestiary, and they have sizes listed. We don't need to discuss it. Goblins, small, done. Yes, okay. So that means that I could turn him into something tiny. I could turn him into a rat. Which seems quite drastic, but tiny is as small as it goes. There's no size smaller than tiny. So yes, you can turn a goblin into a hummingbird. Which makes capture far, far easier. Let me just check the duration one more time. So the time is encounter. It's about 10 minutes. Obviously, I can't get back home in that time. And even if we charge it, I'd have to empower it to be 4 hours. But really, we just need to get him out of the camp. And then I need to just get him bound up in rope. And then, you know, that's that. That's that. Rat size is good, easy to pick up, not so small I could easily lose it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably our best plan. It's just there's a lot of ifs, as always. You know, this is assuming I find a solitary goblin. This is assuming that I don't get noticed in the camp. This is assuming that I can successfully cast Shape Change on him. This is assuming that he doesn't slip away from me after I cast Shape Change. This is assuming then that I get out of the camp without being noticed. This is assuming that once he reverts back to his normal shape, that I can actually get the rope on him and tie him up. And then this is assuming that I can get him back to Awbridge without him escaping. How will I account for the shift in size of the ropes? I have to knock him out until he grows. Yeah. Well, I can't tie him up as a rat. Like, that wouldn't do anything. So yes, knocking him unconscious would be ideal, but you know, we don't want to kill him. And that depends a lot on your DM. You know, some would just say like, oh, I want to knock this rat unconscious. And the DM would be like, oh, okay, you do that. But I don't feel like I'm that kind of DM. Because it would be like, how? How would you... I mean, yeah, you would need some sort of chemical or some sort of magic to knock him out. I do have the charm spell, so worst comes to worst, if he's trying to resist or trying to break out or trying to escape, I can always try and just charm him, and that'll kind of put an end to it. And I have Sorcery Surge, which is pretty big deal. Yeah, I mean, I could go and buy a sleep potion, but I can't afford it, really. 45 silver is... I'd have to buy some really, like, knockoff brand from some guy in the alley. Like, yeah, man, this will definitely knock somebody out good. Chances are I'd probably just kill him. Sounds good if I can get that scenario to work. Yeah. Okay. It would actually just be liquor. It's like, yeah, just give him enough of this sleep potion. He'll definitely be knocked out. Another big factor in all this, of course, is my health, which is my spellcasting pool. This is all assuming that I don't fail any spell checks. If I fail even one spell check and burn an HP for no benefit, it gets a lot trickier. But all right, let us enact our plan. Well, it's the middle of the day. We want to do in the middle of the day. No, probably not. We definitely want the target to be sleeping. So I guess we'll just wait. Yeah, I guess we'll just wait. Which is really funny because it's something my family really struggles with, like thinking of the fact that you can just like skip ahead in time like that just by saying that you want to skip ahead in time. Like they really thought that if they wanted to like wait a few hours, they would have to like sit here for a few hours. Or I feel like they didn't think about it. That's what they didn't think about any of that. And then like we would end a session with them kind of injured or something like that. And then the next session would pick up right where we left off, and they were like, why haven't we healed? It's been a week. Like, no, that's not how that works. Anyways, I should camp and just study them for a night to see how they move. Yeah, that's true. I might be able to isolate a specific target then. If I see like a single tent that I think has only one target in it. Which, I mean, let's be honest. The witch doctor probably has her own tent. In fact, those are probably the only two. Like, the witch doctor has her own tent, and probably, like, the chieftain has his own tent. That seems almost like... Everything else is just kind of like barracks, you know, just all of them up against one another, slithering and sliding around. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like some sort of roll should happen. To see, like, if anything unusual is afoot. But I don't know what you roll for that. I guess you'd roll on, like, a random prompt or something, but I don't think so. That's not good. Better bail out fast, because they're not going to be happy if I kidnap the witch doctor. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to be happy if I kidnap anybody. The witch doctor is really, like I said, the least likely target I want to grab. Although, I think the witch doctor, if anything, would probably have a lower... Well, they're all going to have basically the same stats. Can they still cast tiny magic in rat form? Typically, no. Actually, let me get a D&D ruling here. This says no. This says yes. This says yes. But it's kind of a specific example. You thought they were going to be rat size, not an actual rat. No. Target shape changes into a creature of the same or one size smaller. Yes, they will be an actual rat. Let me just check. You must have one hand free to perform the intricate spell gestures. I think you have to have actual fingers. Or a finger equivalent. You have to have digits that can actually do the spell gesture. So no. Rat, no. Some other humanoid, probably yes. But no, I can't turn into a bird and then cast missile from 100 feet in the air. We're ruling that out right now. You gotta have fingers. So, I mean, that's a pretty simple restriction, actually. I don't know how D&D is now. Actually, it might still be the same now. But, like, different spells have different components. So this is what we'd call somatic components. In that you need hands to cast it. But some spells just require verbal components. And then I think there's like, yeah, material components. Having actual materials on hand needed to cast the spell. And that's why I always like Scions, because you didn't need any of that shit. You could be blind, mute, you know, bound up, and you could still blast the shit out of people. No, but it's a good thing to clarify it right now before we really get into any shape change shenanigans, because I can shape change myself, so it's good to set the restriction now. All right, I guess I should roll like a stealth, because I am hiding and observing them throughout, you know, the next 10 hours or something like that. So there is a chance that I really blunder and give myself away. But I'd probably have to roll like a 1 or a 2 for that to happen. I'm like at an elevated position. I assume I'm like in some shrubbery or something like that. I think it'd be pretty unlikely, but Malkalon could bumble. He could blunder. So let's roll just a straight d20. 8. Alright, I think we're fine. I'm not that cruel of a DM. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I guess during my time observing, I just see, like, kind of what I described. That there's usually about 10 goblins going out at a time. They never leave the place too undefended. And I spot definitely an unusual looking goblin covered in like charms and like little skulls and trinkets and stuff. Clearly a witch doctor of some kind. And so I see the tent that they kind of operate out of. And then the chieftain also is pretty evident. Like the bulkiest, strongest looking goblin. You know, if I were running D&D, it would be what I'd say is like a hobgoblin or something. Clearly, like, just the biggest. Tattooed and all that. And his tent is very obvious as well. When you shapeshift something, does it retain its original mind? Or are you just rat until the spell ends? No, you retain your mind. If I cast shape change on myself, I don't, like, forget my entire existence as a mage until it's over. Because that would kind of defeat the purpose of ever casting it on yourself. Okay. Nightfall comes. It's business as usual. We could try and there's going to be goblins just kind of milling about. We could try and pick off one of those. What's the distance on charm? I could actually just convince a goblin. Well, no, I don't have telepathy. Shit. I'd have to actually talk to him. But with ethereal form, I could just like appear. I could just put my face like out of the ground next to them and whisper into their ear. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Charm and shape change. Those are really my two options. Both of them give the target a free action every turn to try and break out of it. How many turns does it take for a goblin to, like, get out of the quarry? It's probably not quick, but I'm not going to be that quick either. And once I kidnap a rat, like, it's still going to take a bit of time. And then it's like, there's like a nightmare situation here. What if I shape change a goblin into a rat, and I, like, put him in my pocket, and then I ethereal form, and I, like, walk through the earth to try and get away from the quarry, and then while I'm doing that, it shape changed back into a goblin. In my pocket. I think it wouldn't affect me. I think. Because everything on my person is ethereal. As soon as it changes back, it's like no longer on my person. It probably destroys my pocket. I don't know. We're really getting into some nebulous territory here. I think the goblin dies 100% in that situation. It would just blow out of your pocket. But is there even space for him to change back? Like, I'm in solid earth. I'm not in, like, a cave. There's no space. I think he just... I think we create, like, a singularity or something. I don't know what happens. It's not good for me or the goblin. That's all I know. But it's an excellent thing to keep in mind in the future if we ever want to kill something. Kill it dead. You get fused in the earth. Yeah, it'd be ridiculous. So maybe Charm is a safer bet. If he breaks out of it, I just cast Charm again. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. This is not... I think we don't have the perfect set of spells that I would actually want for this situation. But it's important not to pick spells based on one situation. Alright, let me just look at Goblin again. So they have no skill dice. So they just roll straight D20 for everything. And assuming I use Sorcery Surge and I get a high roll on my charm spell, let's say I get an 18. That means that he needs an 18 or higher to break out of it. So he has a 15% chance every turn. And we'll have to decide how many turns it takes for him to get out of the quarry. But, yeah, I mean, I guess it's doable. We get advantage on the roll, and we add a d6. So chances are our charm roll is going to be pretty good. Okay, enough talk. Let's just do this. So, we're going to try and just grab one of the guys kind of on the edge. And, so we're going to use Ethereal Form first. I'm not going to use Sorcery Surge, because that... We actually, last time with my family, my brother really had to drill down, and I had to make a big decision about what an encounter is, and when your spells and abilities, like, refresh. It hasn't come up to this point, because everyone was just using, like, in-combat abilities, but now he has, like, Lay on Hands as an ability. So he wanted to know when he gets that back. So I had to really, like, decide... when your encounter limit refreshes. So I decided that at the start of any encounter, your ability count refreshes. You get all that back. Obviously, combat is an encounter. But then any period of time between combat encounters is also an encounter. Okay? So say you get into a fight. You've got two abilities, you know, that you can use. You use your two abilities during the fight. At the end of that fight, a new non-combat encounter starts, and you get 2 abilities back. And say you use those 2, doing some other stuff outside of combat. Then the next time combat starts, your abilities refresh again. You get your 2 abilities back. Long rests also refresh everything, obviously. But that way, you can't just sit there and do no combat and keep getting your abilities back like 30 times. So it kind of revolves around combat, but at the same time, most of your abilities revolve around combat. It's not a perfect solution. I had to come up with it at the table, but it's what we're going with going forward. So I'm out of combat. I can use Sorcery Surge now, but I can't use it again until I get into combat. And I don't know... We're not going to count the charm that I cast on the guy as being in combat. Combat means initiative rolls, typically. So, we'll see. Alright, so I'm just casting Ethereal Form. I'm going to bump down my health. And D20 plus D6. All I need is a 10 or higher. I rolled a 4 and a 3. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? See? Fuck. As soon as you fail one roll, like, our numbers really go down. Okay, we're at 8 health. 19. Okay. Ethereal Form, active. So, yeah, now we're just going to traverse through the earth, through the rock, kind of around the quarry. And periodically, I kind of have to poke my head out a little bit just to see where I am, get a sight line, get my bearings, and then keep going. Yeah, it's true. I could just kind of appear as ethereal in the distance, but I feel like he'd probably just alert the whole camp. So I kind of have to get next to him and then cast Charm. And well, now that I said this before, but now Charm has a range of medium. So Charm basically is a telepathic spell. I don't even need to do this. Maybe we should back up. This was stupid. A range of medium, which I could extend if I charge it, is 60 feet. Do I think I could, from the edge of the quarry, zap someone 60 feet away? Yes? Probably. I mean, yeah, again, if I charge it... if I charge it, it goes up to, like, long, I think. Yeah, long, 120 feet. I probably wouldn't even need to move from my hiding position. This is a better plan. I'm going to spend the 2 health. We're going to charge our charm spell. I'm going to use Sorcery Surge then. And I guess I rolled twice already. So we'll just take my second roll. Which is a 24. Which is perfect. Because that means that he has a 5% chance of breaking out. Actually... No, I mean, I think we want to kind of decide... Well, if it were a player... Again, let's put it in that context. If it were a player and they were charmed by the villain, and I rolled the villain's charm thing and they got a 24, and let's say the player had no points into will. If we made it so that a crit was not an automatic success, that means that the player could never break free of the charm. like 0% chance, because even if they roll 20, that's not a 24. Like, they cannot break out. But if you make a crit an automatic success, then they have a 5% chance every roll. That's kind of a big difference. And I think as a player, you really kind of like, you crave that 5%. It's very exciting. Because then if you get the 20, that's like, holy shit, I did it, you know? You kind of remember that shit. Whereas if you tell a player, like, yeah, don't even bother rolling because you can't succeed, you have a 0% chance, so don't even bother, you're just charmed. Get fucked, loser. That's pretty demoralizing. And I feel like there should be, you know, kind of an equality, parity between stuff you do to players, stuff that happens to monsters. So, yeah, if I'm going to give players crit as an automatic success, I got to give it to monsters as well. So, yeah, he'll have a 5% chance each turn. If he rolls a crit, he will break out. And as for the... Is my music already over? Have we been going for like an hour? Jesus. Time flies when you're having fun. So Charm says, charm a target to do their bidding as long as it does not cause itself harm. There's no restriction then, outside of do not cause itself harm. I think there's other spells that have like a one-word description or a one-word command. I thought Shadow Psychic. Maybe Shadow. Well, suggestion from Shadow says, follow a simple order that does not involve self-harm. Which is funny, because everything else about it is identical to Charm. So I feel like Charm probably should also be a simple order. But I digress. We're not really giving him a complicated order. We just want him to come here, you know, quietly come to my position. Okay, so first is the initial roll of when I cast Charm. He rolled a 19, so thankfully not a crit. Okay. And now we have to determine how long it would take him to do this. And creatures in Heroes of Adventure don't have variable movement rates. Like, everybody can move the same amount, which is one range band, which is, in other words, is essentially 30 feet. You can move 30 feet. Some characters have an ability that lets them like double that or more as an ability. And you can also then sprint or fast move, where you can move 60 feet. But he's specifically not going to do that because he's moving quietly. So 30 feet a turn. Now, the distance as the crow flies between me and him was at most 120 feet. But he's not going to just walk a straight line towards me and then climb up. He's going to have to go around the quarry. So probably like double that, triple that, double that. 250 feet? I don't know. 300 feet. Let's go with 300 feet. So 10 rolls. It's a lot. I mean, yeah, there's a lot that could go wrong. If he breaks out of it at some point, I'm going to have to, like, empower the spell, probably, to reach him from wherever he breaks out of it, just so he doesn't, you know, alert the rest of the camp. I feel like I could bring up paint and do, like, a little illustration of the situation here. But, alright. In other words, 10 rolls, and I don't want to roll a 20 on any of them. Okay? So let's do 10d20 roll. 19, 12, 10, 9, 20. 19, 2, 2, 14, 20. I rolled 2 20s. Isn't that great? Okay, so then in order, he moved 30 feet, 60 feet, 90 feet, 120 feet, and then he rolled a 20. So he moved 120 feet, and then he broke out of the charm. And it's probably pretty obvious to me, being an observer, that he broke out, because he suddenly just stops moving in like a like a robot, and it just starts looking around in confusion. And we haven't decided really how much the characters are aware of the charm. And again, I guess we have to look at D&D. D&D, charm person. When the spell ends, the creature knows it was charmed by you. Yeah, I mean, D&D is pretty clear. Although, what does that really mean? That it knows it was charmed by you? What does it mean to a creature like this that really has no concept of magic or anything like that? I guess it means that it knows... Does it know what it did? Is it cognizant the entire time? And so as soon as it breaks out, it just knows everything that happened to it and knows that it was doing things outside of its own control? Or does it just break out and the last, minute or whatever was all a blur, but they know that they were under somebody else's control magically? I think that's kind of a big difference. It's certainly much more horrific if they are like locked away in their own mind. So I guess we'll go with that. We lean towards the more horrific option. Okay. So, he knows that somebody, presumably up on the ridge where he was told to go, took control of his mind briefly. It's like being hypnotized. They break out and realize what they just did, but aren't sure why. Well, if they're not sure why, then they're not sure that they were charmed. And I think D&D has that in there specifically to avoid a lot of abuse from players. Because, again, I mean, imagine that I could charm people and they wouldn't know that they were charmed. Like, it would be so ripe for just, like, chaos. Like, you could just convince a guard, the king's guard. You just charm him and be like, yeah, kill the king. And then he does it and he gets, executed. And he's just like, I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't me. But, with the proper rules, it's like, hey, I was charmed. It was this asshole. I know he did it. And everyone's like, oh, well, that's how charm works. I guess it makes sense. Let's investigate this. Yeah, there's just too much room for abuse otherwise. Okay, so distance then. Yeah, we're really getting nebulous. It's a lot easier if I mapped all this out. The main point of contention here is he at least 120 feet from me, or is he more than 120 feet from me? I guess we just kind of flip a coin. Let's roll. Is he at least 120 feet from me? 8. Yes. Okay, good. I'm not even going to roll to see if he's within 60 feet because it just seems very unlikely. The thing is, I don't have Sorcery Surge this time, so it's going to be shittier. We have not entered combat, and I don't want this to enter combat. We need to just zap him again with Charm. So we're spending 2 more health. It's getting dicier. So we're charging this. And it's a d20 plus d6. Okay, I rolled a 15. Not bad, but it does give him like a 30% chance. Yeah, 30% chance to break out. And we need him to roll another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Feel like that could be calculated, but the odds are not in our favor. All right, so first we have to do the initial roll to see if the charm succeeds. I rolled a 3. He rolled a 3. So he's charmed again. Same command. And now we're going to do 5 more d20 rolls. Oh, I don't like that high number. His first roll was a 20, followed by a 16, 12, 10, 15. He succeeded 3 times there. So we'll say he moved another 30 feet. But this is getting dire. It's somewhat comical, except, you know, I have to, like, finish the job. Because otherwise he's going to alert the whole camp, and I'm going to have just a bunch of goblins chasing after me. And it wouldn't be tough to get away. But then, like, I don't know. I guess, like, we'd leave, we'd rest up again, we'd come back, and just do the whole plan again. But he's kind of close. So he's gone 180 feet now, we'll say. I guess I'll spend another 2. Here's my roll. Okay, a 15 again. His roll, 12. Okay, so now we got 4 more d20 rolls. 30, I like that. Oh, fuck, he rolled a 19 in there. A 6, a 19, a 2, and a 3. Fuck. He moved another 60 feet. Nearly there. And had I kind of been moving to join him, like meet up with him, we probably would have done all right. But I wanted to just stay completely still in case things didn't go right. But now he's 60 feet away, so we're going to spend 1 more health. This guy just keeps getting zapped. Losing his mind. Alright, 1 more roll. I roll a 10. Great. This dude has some cursed rolls every time he encounters anything. I know. Malcolon's having a rough go of it. Okay, so I rolled a 10, which is abysmal. He rolls a 15. So I failed to charm him. And here I think is where things get a little dire. Because now he has a turn to himself, in which he is not charmed, but knows that he has been charmed multiple times. And the culprit is presumably 60 feet away from him. So, of course, he's going to begin shouting to awaken the entire camp. That there's some filthy, vile wizard controlling his mind right up here. Just hollering. And, of course, he's going to start running. Probably away from me, really. Back towards the camp. This is going to all be for nothing, by the way. We're going to have to just leave and come back and do this all over again. Because now he can sprint. So he can move 60 feet. So now he's moved 60 feet back away from me. So he's 120 feet away from me. Give or take. And the entire camp of goblins is alerted. I have 3 health left. And it's just no good. There's no reason for me to continue this. I'm not on that tight of a deadline, and there's always going to be more goblins. So it's just stupid for me to try and, like, seal the deal right now. Yeah, it's just dumb. Okay, so I'm going to just I'm going to shape change myself into like a wolf and just dash away into the night. Yeah, that's certainly the best. So I'll spend another health. Okay, and I succeeded. So I dash out of there into the night. And I mean, it's like the middle of the night. It's like a 3-hour hike back to town. But I don't have any camping material, so I kind of just have to walk alone at night. I guess let's do hourly checks, and we'll double the rate. So first hour, 1 or a 2. Second hour, 3 to 4. Third hour, 1 through 6, really. Okay, we're fine. Miraculously, we get home fine. I feel like we need to set up like a separate sheet for the doppelganger, just to kind of keep track of what he's doing. But maybe it's better if we don't keep it meticulously. He's just out there doing nefarious things. As am I. Alright, well, we're just resting for however many nights it takes to get back to full health. But this is funny because now this is another night that Malkalon is coming back to town in the middle of the night, looking kind of shaggy and weary. So now the town guard, the number, the percentage is escalating of like their suspicion that he's up to no good. You assume he'd show up when I decided I had a cool idea for him and just make up the backstory. Yeah, that's probably what will happen. And a bunch of RPGs will actually recommend, I think actually this game recommends it as well. Yeah, fronts. I mean, fronts is pretty broad. This kind of on the higher end of things. A front is an organizational tool used to help manage the activities of factions or adversaries within a campaign. I'm talking about the town guard here, not the doppelganger. But yeah, like I think I want to say Blades in the Dark does a lot of this kind of stuff. So, like, for the town guard and their, like, suspicion of Malkalon or something like that, you'd have, like, a circle. You'd draw a circle down, and then you'd kind of separate it like a pie chart into a certain number of slices. And then anytime something would happen that would kind of raise their suspicion, you'd fill in one of the slices. And then once it's filled up entirely, then something happens. You know, they kind of act on their suspicions. If I were doing all of this, like, with paper and pencils and stuff like that, I'd probably do something like that. I don't know how we... I guess, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a circle with slices. We could just have, like, you know, a number. So, let's fill this in. Actually, that probably was still August 25th. Malkalon went to quarry, scouted out goblins, tried to capture one with charm magic, failed, and fled. Coming home late at night. Okay. Town guard suspicion. I definitely know how to spell. I do it all the time. We're going to put this at 2 out of 5. And again, like, how that number goes up is not set in stone. There's not any, you know, one thing that happens that's like, oh, now it's a 3, now it's a 4. It's just kind of, you know, a general vibe from the DM. So it's not like they have it at 2 out of 5. Like, they don't have guards, like, stationed outside his house, you know, in the bushes watching him. But, you know, maybe... Again, maybe another neighbor kind of just noticed this or was awakened by him coming home again. And maybe they didn't even tell a town guard. Maybe they just kind of told their friend who told a friend. And, you know, the rumor mill kind of escalates just a little bit more. Stuff like that. I know I didn't spell suspicion. So, that's what that's at. Alright, so we're just resting a number of days. I don't think the suspicion meter would go up just from him resting in his house. But it also, notably, really never goes down. Because that's boring. Unless he, like, saves the town or something like, is like some miraculous hero, then we probably just remove the whole thing entirely. Unless the circumstances of him saving it is suspicious. But anyways, alright, so the night of the 25th, he heals for 4 damage. Hey, that's a good start. The night of the 26th, he heals for 1 damage. Not as good. The night of the 27th, he heals for 1 damage. Damn. The night of the 28th, he heals for 1 damage. Come on, my rolls. The night of the 29th, he heals for one damage. Well, fortunately, that's all I needed. Oh, fuck. Look at that. 4 1s in a row. I begin to suspect this dice roller as just being bullshit. And I would use, what is it, like random.net or something like that? Random.org. Because this uses atmospheric noise for their randomness. Because, yeah, most random dice rollers and generators and stuff just use, like, an algorithm, a mathematical formula. So there's always, like, some predictability to it. It's not true random. But they don't have... Yeah, I mean, their dice roller is really... I really like the format of this, that I can have it just roll 40-20, and I can have this list up. Whereas here it's just like, yeah, roll 2 dice. And it's like, okay, these are really random 2d6. But where's the random D20? Hey, Sappy. Anyways. Maybe I'm just salty. What was I talking about? All right, so that was the 29th. That was the night of the 29th. So, the 30th. Let's just see. Yeah, August goes to 31 days. Some people would just know that. Alright, so we're on August 30. Obviously, we're going to go back to the quarry. The question is, what has changed? I think if you were DMing this, and you were DMing this situation, and or a similar situation, or any kind of situation where your players failed to accomplish their goal and then left the area and wanted to come back to reattempt the same maneuver, the same situation, to try and achieve the goal a second time. If you as the DM do not change anything about the situation, it's pretty lame. I think it's pretty lame. Like, that is your golden opportunity to throw another twist, another wrench in the engine, just to kind of make it more interesting. If they come back and it's the exact same situation they just left, that's just not how fiction is written. That's just not how things are done. Maybe it's realistic. Maybe it's realistic that these goblins would just be like, oh, I don't know. And they would just go on as life as normal. Maybe that is realistic. But narratively wise, something should be different. Not saying that they should all have left. I'm not saying that they should have some, elaborate trap set just in case that evil wizard comes back. I'm not saying it has to be massive, drastic, whatever. But something should be different. So, the question is, what? These goblins were just chilling, minding their own business. And I'm sure that, the chieftain, the witch doctor, the smarter members of the group perhaps expected at some point that some sort of raiding party would come for them. They would be attacked by somebody. But they expected, a bunch of knights to show up and start, stomping down into the quarry, and there'd be this big fight. That's kind of what they expected. They didn't really expect some sort of sneaky little wizard to try and mind control one of their people, and lure him off to be molested. So I think the witch doctor sort of plays a part here of what's different. And I'm looking at the spell list, but I don't really want something off the spell list. I want something more ritualistic. Maybe like an alarm spell or something. Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't think there is an alarm spell in Heroes of Adventure. Almost certainly not. right, my PDF reader broke. But alarm in D&D. You set an alarm against unwanted intrusion. Choose a door, a window, or an area within range no larger than a 20-foot cube. Until the spell ends, an alarm alerts you whenever a tiny or larger creature touches or enters the warded area. When you cast a spell, you can designate creatures that won't set off the alarm. So yeah, I mean, obviously we don't have to adhere to that specifically. So what I'm thinking is, well, it does have monster ability alarm. When a person enters into vicinity of stated range, then a stated effect occurs. So the fungal whaler has the alarm ability. Interesting. But no, so I'm picturing that the witch doctor has now cast this ritual spell around the, somewhat edges of the quarry. And he has kind of cast this, like, he's kind of put like a brand almost on all the goblins in this war band, in this camp. And so since they have this brand, they can pass through without setting off the alarm. But anything larger than a dog that passes through the boundary without that brand will then set off this very, very audible alarm. That's what I'm thinking. Now, the problem is, I know that. Malkalon doesn't know that. And even if I were a player, it's like, I feel like what's likely to happen then is, like, I'll go there at night, I'll trigger the alarm, I'll flee, and then we'll be like, okay, now I know there's an alarm around the area, what do I do? That's basically where we're at. So we could just skip a few steps, but I guess that's not very interesting. So, yeah, I mean, Malkalon will head out. I just don't know how I would be aware in any way. Like, how would I become aware of this alarm without setting it off? The only way is if I cast Detect Magic, which I didn't take. I could cast it, but again, why would I? Why would I ever think? I mean, yeah, again, that's the tricky thing about solo DMing. But if I was playing, I don't think I would ever think to cast Detect Magic. Because I'd have to burn an HP. I'd have to cast at disadvantage. Because I didn't pick it. So then chances are I just waste an HP. And then most of the time, I don't think the DM would have set anything up. So it'd probably just, or he would set up something different, so it would just be a waste of a spell. I don't know. It's tricky. But I can't also then just alter my plans because of what I as a DM know. You know, that's meta. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to trigger the alarm. That's what's going to happen. There's no way around it, really. Logically. Without just breaking the rules of the game. So I'm going to head out, not at nighttime, because I don't want to travel at nighttime initially. But, you know, I want to arrive when it's nighttime. So we'll just roll 3d20, see if we roll any 1s, 2s, or 3s. I rolled a 1 right out the bat. Okay, so like 45 minutes outside of town, we get a random encounter. Yeah, I don't know, I'll just roll 7. Level 2 monster. Okay, and it is, it's scouting. And its reaction is cautious. And the complication is faction opposed. What does that even mean? Okay, level 2 monster out in the wilderness, kind of near town, scouting. I guess it probably would be like a goblin. I mean, goblins are level 1. Maybe it's like... No, I guess, yeah, I guess if we stick with level 2, it can't be a goblin. I don't know. What would scout? It'd have to be something kind of intelligent. What are orcs? Are they even in here? I don't think they are. What's the alphabet? How does the alphabet work? No, there's no orcs in this B-share, which is insane. But that's right, because I had to come up with stats for them. For D&D. I think I made them level 2. All my stuff is downstairs, so I don't have my stats. I think I made them level 2 or 3, 2. I don't know. I probably just took some other humanoid creature. Yeah, maybe it wasn't lizard folk. It was some other humanoid creature that was like level 2, and I was just like, sure, we'll take that. They have a D4 dice. They probably have like 10 or 12 health, something like that. I don't want to spend too much time. But yes, we'll say I encounter an orc. And hold on just a second. Hold on just a second here. No. Yeah, Okay, good. Map. Right. So, this is a refresh. This is Awbridge. This is our home base. The town of Chronam was like somewhere around here. So the quarry is like somewhere around here or something. So yeah, I mean we're near the eastern coast somewhat. We're near the southern coast. This town here is the biggest town furthest east of the Golden Union. And then this is all orc territory in the Badlands. And there is still a dwarf, civilization in the mountains here. They are pretty regularly attacked by orcs. So orcs, they've been definitely moving further west as time has gone on. This place is fairly well fortified at this point because it has to be. But there has been plenty of talk of smaller villages getting wiped out by orcs. So there does need to be like a big military action from the Golden Union in order to push the orcs back, but they're very preoccupied at the moment with their Western war against the Empire of Talis. So the orcs kind of are taking advantage of the situation somewhat. What are you watching? Solo D&D, is that right? Close. It's a similar RPG called Heroes of Adventure. But yeah, pretty much solo D&D. So it's certainly unusual then for an orc to be all the way this far west to Awbridge. But it's just one. It's just one scout. Kind of just trying to maybe map out the land, map out where all the big towns are, the small towns are, the villages. Get a lay of the land for the orc hordes. So we need to figure out the nature of this encounter exactly. You know, all we have right now is that I encounter this orc. But does it see me first? Do I see it first? What do I see it doing? How far away are we? Where exactly is this? I'm on the road, I guess, 45 minutes out from Awbridge. The orc would not be traveling on the road. So I imagine that I see it kind of a distance away, perhaps in like some woods, skulking through or something like that. It probably is keeping a constant eye on the road if it can see the road, because it doesn't want to be seen, I imagine, but also it wants to keep track of how many people are moving on the road, what kind of people, things like that. I'm giving orcs a lot of credit here. I guess we're making orcs somewhat intelligent. So I'd say distance probably is like a couple 100 feet. And I think for this encounter to even happen, like, I have to see it. Like, you know, if it's just him seeing me and me walking on without noticing, that's not really an encounter. That's just me stating a fact about an orc in the woods nearby. So, yeah, perhaps I was just unusually observant in my musings, and I happened to notice nearby, deep in the woods, movement, and it's clearly an orc. Would Malkalon do anything about the orc? I don't know. I guess that's a different question. I don't know if I would do anything. There's not really much money. I certainly want to study the orcs. It's part of my encyclopedia, so maybe I'd capture them just for that. I guess we get a little sidetracked. Okay, let's pretend for a moment that I want to capture the sword. What's the best way to go about doing so? Are we counting a cat as small or tiny? I don't think I have cat in the bestiary. I know I have dog, and we know that's small. A cockatrice is small. It's wild. A boar is small, but that's sort of a hawk is small. Okay, in that case, I probably count a cat as small. I think small is fairly variable. Looking over everything. Mouse is tiny, bugs, etc. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Okay, so cat's pretty damn stealthy. I could turn into a cat and sneak up on this thing. And then we could... Yeah, I don't think there's any rules in Heroes of Adventure for non-lethal damage. I usually go by the, you know, my old DM's rules of just, if you declare that you're doing non-lethal damage, then you do non-lethal damage. You know, you just, there's not much to it. No, I mean, I don't think Heroes of Adventure even has rules for knocking something out. It just says if their health reaches 0, they're dead. But that's no fun. Sometimes you want to knock something out. So... I mean, I agree. Sometimes it is a little ridiculous to just say, yeah, I knock him out. Because it's like if you're shooting a guy, if you have a firing line of archers just pelting somebody with arrows, and you all say, yeah, I'm just going to knock him out. It's like, that's a nice thought. That's a real nice thought you have there. Wouldn't it be wonderful if he just was knocked out? Hey, Raymond. You caught one, but we're not going to be on for too much longer. I don't know. I don't know. Yes. I mean, on the one hand, I want to be realistic and say you couldn't knock somebody out with an arrow. On the other hand, I do like the simplicity of it, and I like encouraging players to knock things out because I think that leads to some more interesting scenarios rather than just killing everything you encounter. All right, thanks, Lindy Doll. Catching one at all is better than missing another. Yeah, that's true. Let me get the latest rules from D&D. What are they doing for non-lethal damage? They even have rules for non-lethal damage? Generally speaking, once a player does an attack that does melee damage and it brings the opposing victim below HP, 0 HP, the player has the choice to declare it as a non-lethal attack. Okay, it has to be melee damage. All right, I mean, I guess that kind of solves it. I guess it makes the most sense. You can always hit somebody with the handle of your weapon or the hilt or something. Yeah, that does solve a lot of problems. Okay, because obviously I was thinking of just using missile and just zapping them and bringing them down, but we still, yeah, we could just charm them instead. We can do the same plan we were going to use with the goblins. But I don't know if the orc knows that I know that I can see him. And I don't know if the orc knows if I know. And I don't know if the orc can see me. And he doesn't know if I know if he can see me. If he can see me, and he knows that I saw him, and I suddenly turn into a cat, he's gonna like start running or something. So I need to know when to turn into a cat when he's not aware. Force damage can also be ruled for non-lethal. Depends heavily on circumstance and GM. Okay. I mean, I don't know if missile is counting as force damage here. It says create a bolt of arcane energy which causes damage. There isn't damage types in Heroes of Adventure. So yeah, I mean, I guess I would say maybe, but for myself, solo, I'd probably lean towards no, that's not going to be non-lethal. But I don't know, I guess it could be, but... Because it's not piercing, it's like kinetic force, I suppose. That makes the most sense. Or is it more like electricity? I don't know. Anyways, that's besides the point right now. So how do I know when he's no longer watching me without making him aware that I'm watching him? That's the tricky part. We could just keep going until we're kind of out of sight, and then I turn into a cat, and then I follow him. That's probably the safest path. Because he's not going to start running if I don't make any big movements. So he'll keep plodding along. What's the sitch? I'm about 45 minutes outside of town, and I noticed an orc scout in the woods nearby the road. And I'm trying to capture him to vivisect him and study his organs. So yes, I'm just gonna keep walking for another little bit, and I'm gonna try very hard not to like turn my head, with the assumption that he's probably like wondering if I saw him or not. So I'm just gonna pretend like just going about my day, you know, nothing strange here. And then once I think that he's out of sight, I'm going to cast Shape Change. So that's a health. We have to roll. I crit. Doesn't matter. Are they actually fungus? Scholars debate at 9. No, that's only in 40k. But I mean, that is what Malkalon might want to investigate. He might want to prove that once and for all that they're not fungus. Who knows what he'll find when he's digging around in there. Okay, so I turn into a cat. And now I'm going to dart into the woods and try and track him down. And I guess cats can be not stealthy. And presumably Malkalon doesn't have a wealth of experience being a cat. So I probably should do a stealth roll versus his senses roll. So this is a D20 plus D4 versus D20 plus D4, as far as I'm concerned. He's, you know, he's somewhat alert. He's kind of, he doesn't, you know, he's scouting deep into enemy territory here. Yeah, this is a straight up roll. Malkalon first with a 16 versus an 11. Okay, the cat is stealthy. Moving quickly through the leaves and the foliage. And I'll get within like 30 feet of this orc. Close enough, but not too close. And I can't cast any spells as a cat. We've already decided that I need fingers to cast. So, I cancel the spell. I assume that's allowed. I don't know if it's ever specified if you can just cancel spells. But it seems lame if you can't preemptively cancel a spell. So I will return to human, which almost certainly will make some noise. The sudden movement of mass from a cat to a human might rustle the leaves a little bit. And then I guess it would depend on how nice your DM is, on whether there's an initiative roll at this point, or you can immediately act and get a surprise on him. I don't know. I lean towards initiative, to be honest. I don't know. I feel like transforming from a cat to a human has to be a little jarring. And then you just, unless you're like, you know, you've been doing it your entire life. And you're just, you know, like, doesn't the teacher in Harry Potter, doesn't she always, like, transform into a cat, like, constantly? And as soon as she comes back, she's just like, yeah, lick my ass. Or some, maybe I watched a different Harry Potter, I don't know. Imagine if you're new to magic, you can't yet stop the magic for a spell. Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, there's no rules for that, one way or another. So I guess let's just do initiative, which is where I actually have, I'm at the disadvantage. I don't have an extra D4. So mine is just a 9, whereas his is a 15. So he quickly turns around and he sees this human man, the same guy he saw before, just like standing up and shaking his head real quick. And he gets a turn. I'm 30 feet away, so he's he's gonna do something. I pictured him armed with a bow, like a short bow. And probably he also has like a hand axe on his hip. So he's definitely going to shoot an arrow at me. Which, unless he crits, I don't think I can die in one arrow. But he's going to roll. Aha, he rolled a 7, so he missed. He's a little flustered at what, you know, this man just suddenly popping up behind him. So he missed. He probably would also move, though. He'd probably also move 30 feet away. So we're now 60 feet apart. On Malkalon's turn, he's going to cast Charm. And we're definitely going to use Sorcery Surge. So 1 health, Sorcery Surge, advantage on Charm. First roll is a 6, second roll is a 9, and 13 is our roll, which is pretty shitty. Pretty shitty. His roll to resist it is a crit. So Charm did not work. Malkalon has been having a real rough go of it. You know, any more of this and he might rethink his whole mission of establishing and writing this encyclopedia and adventuring and stuff. Things are not going well for this guy. Okay, but, you know, I'm gonna move 30 feet forward just because I don't want him to flee. He's going to shoot another arrow on his turn. He rolls a 19. Actually, he rolls a 23, so that hits for d6 damage. 5 damage. Brings me down to 3 health. And he'll move another 30 feet away. So now I have 3 health left. If I cast another spell, that number will be 2. And at the same time... I don't have Sorcery Surge anymore. So if I cast this... I get 1 roll. And I do have a slight advantage, a d6 versus his d4, but that's not saying a whole lot. We're just kind of at the mercy of RNG here. I could probably flee, but we need to do something. We need to get something. So I'm gonna move 30 feet up, and I'm gonna cast Charm again. Straight up, I rolled a 10. Great. He rolled a 4. We have charmed him. So the command is just come to me. Come to me. God. Okay. So on his turn, he's going to move 30 feet towards me. No, hold on. Let's not be stupid. Come, drop your weapons and come to me. There you go. He's gonna be so mad when he finds out how well the shadow him is doing. Yeah, his shadow version of him is out there just like delving into dungeons and getting these ancient grimoires and massacring everything in sight. Rolling crits nonstop. Alright, yeah. Drop your weapons and come to me. So he failed his initial roll. So, you know, at the very least, we get 1 turn out of him. So he drops his bow and his hand axe on the ground. And he walks 30 feet up to Malkalon. Now he's going to get a second roll to try and break out of it. He rolls an 11. So sadly, he breaks out of it face to face with Malkalon. So, fuck me. We got to go again. I need to succeed again. Because I can't have him tie himself up. Like, that's not going to work. So I need him to be just subdued for a turn so that I can tie him up. Which probably takes longer than a turn, but I don't know if I would... I think if you get some a creature into this situation, like, it's fine. Just let it happen. So we're going to spend basically our last health to try and do this. I rolled... Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. 22. He rolled a 9. So he is charmed. I mean, there isn't much. I mean, his command is basically just stand there, put your hands behind your back. And he does that, and now he gets another roll. Aha, he rolled a 7. Okay, so now I take out my rope, and I'm going to tie up his hands. I'm going to tie up his whole upper body. You know, tie him up good. I mean, I don't know what else I can really do. But even if he like tackles me or something, I'm dead. So I'd probably just hog tie him and we just drag his ass or something. That's about all we can do. That's the only way to prevent him from like touching us. So we may need an extra turn to actually hog tie him here. So I'll give him another roll. Oh, he rolled a 21. That's not good enough. Not good enough. We hog tie his ass. Okay. So now Malkalon, with 1 HP, is going to drag this hog-tied orc back towards town. Now keep in mind, it's like 8 p.m. at the moment. Or like 7:30. It's like sunset. I have 1 HP and I have a hog-tied orc. What the fuck am I gonna do? I can't just drag an orc through the middle of town into my house. I think that suspicion meter might rise up a little bit more. So I guess probably we just like tie him up to a tree outside of town and then come back. Yeah, probably come back the next day. We probably shape change him and then go back in. But shape change again, like it's the same issue of like shape changing him into a cat. I guess shape change him into a cat. Put him in a cage. Yeah, that's we shape change him into a cat. We put him in a cage. We carry the cage into town, and we hope through all that is good that he doesn't break out of the shape change during during the trip. But a roll every turn. I mean, it's nuts. Like you can never shape change an unwilling target for longer than like a minute. I mean, the odds are just exceedingly against you. Unless you make it so that a crit is not an automatic success. That's the only way. How does it work in D&D? How does polymorph work? Wait a minute. In D&D, it just lasts an hour, and that's it? Like, there's no extra rolls. It just lasts for an hour. Lasts for 1 hour or until the target drops to 0 hit points or dies. The saving throw or else. What the fuck? I don't like this. I don't like Heroes of Adventure being so nerfed compared to D&D. Oh my god, now that I'm looking at all this stuff, like, it's insane. Some of this is just bullshit. Look at Mask from Chaos. Target changes form by way of an illusion into something they have seen. Others can try to resist to see through the illusion as a free action each turn. Every turn? I mean, I think there's going to come a time where I sit down and write Heroes of Adventure 2.0. If only for just like my own purposes, you know? Of just like, this is how I think it should be. Each turn is so worthless. A free action too. Yeah, I know. Like, it's just every 6 seconds they just look up and like, is that really John? I don't know. Let me check again in 6 seconds. Yeah, that's nuts. Some of these I can probably agree with as a free action every turn. Like Discord. Target is confused and attacks a random ally or opponent in range. Like, okay, I can probably justify that being a free action every turn that you try and break out, because that's a pretty powerful effect. Super meta shit, PvP tabletop shit. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want it to be... I don't know if I'd want a shape change to be just an hour. And that's it. You know. But I also definitely don't want it to be try and resist as a free action every turn. Honestly, a lot of it comes down to in combat versus out of combat. In combat, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I think in combat is fairly balanced. That if I turn, you know, a dragon into, like, a horse, it should be able to try and break out of that every turn. Because in combat, if I have 6 people on my side as a team, you know, that's a lot of potential attacks against a harmless dragon, you know, every turn if it can't break out of it. Whereas if it's an hour in combat, I mean, that's basically just insta-kill. Like, there's really nothing to it. So in combat, I kind of agree each turn. Out of combat, though, it's insane and stupid. You don't know this guy, you've never seen him before. No, I'm pretty sure I know. Yeah, yeah. So mechanically, I would absolutely be fine just saying in combat they can try and resist every turn, and out of combat it's an hour. Mechanically, I can fully get on board with that, but that just doesn't really gel well, like, narratively. Like, why would a spell care if it was in combat or out of combat? That's clearly just like a meta mechanical distinction. So I don't know if there's a compromise that works both in combat and out of combat and keeps everything reasonably balanced. But yeah, I can clearly see that a lot of spells here have that issue. And this is not our first issue with spells. Because overall, a lot of spells have an issue with duration. And a big part of that stems from the fact that Heroes of Adventure's time scale is very limited. Like, there's turns and there's encounters. And the timing of that is all very nebulous. Maybe if the spell is being actively resisted, it has to be saved constantly. If it's just allowed to exist, it should just exist. If the spell is being actively resisted. Well, yeah, but I mean, in this case, if I shape change the orc into a cat, out of combat, I mean, he's still actively resisting it. I'm just going to have to write my own rulebook for this. Yes, and that is a very common thing in the OSR community. It's happened time and time again. Because somebody writes an OSR book, you know, or you have, like, the White Hack, or you have Knave, or you have, you know, Black Hack, or you have OSE, so on and so forth. Labyrinth Lord, time and time again. Somebody reads it, and they read other books, and they're like, oh, I kind of like this thing from this book, and this thing from this book. You know what? I'm just going to write my own. And we're going to have, like, the Pink Hack. And then, you know, time repeats itself, and someone else reads that and is like, I kind of like this from this one. So that's like the final stage of being into the old school Renaissance, is just taking all the things you like and writing your own hack. But yeah, I mean, ultimately you're right. Like, there is a lot of things that I would like to change or do slightly different. And a lot of that, it really is just personal preference. Like, there's no right answer or anything like that. Just write the pink hack. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like just leaving it off here before I decide on shape change mechanics and stuff like that. But I definitely am going to think about it. I mean, fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, my family, like, no one has really gone into Magic too much. So these discussions only come up when I'm playing solo. But especially with Malkalon, like, we're relying on charm and shape change for, like, everything. So I really would like to come up with a better solution for this. Yeah, no, I mean, I really like Heroes of Adventure overall. I really like so many parts of it. And I love just how kind of flexible it is. But there's just a few things that, yeah, I'd prefer to rewrite. Because personally, like, for races, or what do they even call them nowadays? No, they call them races here. Okay. Yeah, for races, the ones that I rewrote, you know, I reconfigured them. I like mine so much better. Not to toot my own horn, but mine are all way more balanced. And just allows me to easily add more and more of them if I want. So, yeah, I'm already kind of rewriting Heroes of Adventure. And, I mean, yeah, it's not a very popular system. No one's really talking about it. There aren't almost any videos on YouTube about it. And some of my family members were like, oh, you know, what's the game we're playing called, so I can look it up, see, you know, read about it and watch some videos about it. And I'm like, no one no one is playing Heroes of Adventure. But yeah. So I guess we'll leave it off there with the Hogtied Orc outside of town. And we'll come back next week and I'll hopefully have some rethought out ideas for spell casting. I mean, a lot of it I love. Like, I definitely do not want to change the health-based system. I think that's really interesting. I don't want to change the fact you can charge and empower them for more health. You know, I like a lot of those aspects. It's just a couple parts of the actual spells themselves that probably could benefit a lot from just being expanded. You know, clearly the author was like, I want one sentence for every spell. But some spells just need more than that, you know? And they need to just be thought out a bit more. Yeah, thanks, Raymond, for popping in, and thanks, Durden, for chatting. It's all good. I mean, overall, this wasn't the most successful session. We didn't really accomplish anything. But that is not that uncommon in D&D. Yeah. So, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging for Heroes of Adventure. I'll see you fine folks next week.